Hey everyone, you're listening to the Alex Files. I'm Alex.
And I'm also Alex.
And this is episode 13. Oh my God, we are teenagers.
Whoa, I suddenly feel so much more upset and angsty about everything.
I feel mature in a way that I really can't describe.
My style is just changing, because I'm a different person than I used to be last summer.
Right? My body's changing. The care and keeping of you.
Wow.
What a
A milestone.
A milestone. We're so excited to be here, and thanks for bearing with us. We've, been getting back into whatever this new normal is of things opening up, and we saw each other in person.
Oh, that was so fun. We saw each other in person. We hung out at a bar with drinks and live music. It was insane.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, our lovely co-host Alex Pratt is also an artiste and musician and was performing live in San Diego on a Sunday night, not Saturday Night Live, but it was really fun and great, and she killed it, and it was a good kind of foray back into live music.
Wow. I am humbled. I'm so humbled. Thank you. I like to do that in my spare time, something that's been a part of my life for about 15 years. So
you were awesome. And I think, the folks who were there can attest to the fact that it was a great kind of easing back into just seeing live music. And I think we've all really missed it. And it was a real treat.
Yeah, it was so fun to perform. That's always one of my favorite parts about being a musician is performing and sharing that with people. So to have you there and friends and people in the community they recognized, it was awesome. And it was at the Sycamore Den in San Diego. It's a really nice environment, and they're doing those free outdoor shows every Sunday through September. So if you're hearing this and you're in San Diego and you're listening to this before September 2021, I invite you to check out the Good Vibes.
It's super fun.
Well, thank you, Alex.
It's kind of and the ambiance is very I don't know, lounge 70s, very cool.
Yeah, very friendly. There was different types of people, different types of ages, and everyone just enjoying and drinking and being mellow and cool. And there's also a front part of the bar, so when the show is over, move to the front, get more drinks, hang out. Good vibes.
Good vibes. Speaking of good vibes and keeping it real, today we're super stoked to be chatting about chain restaurants. And oh man, so much to say about this. I mean, you can't say chain restaurants without saying Alex Pratt, because I think that you are sort of my gateway drug into the chain restaurant world.
Wow. Again, kind of humbled and honored. I feel like unfortunately there's kind of a stigma around chain restaurants, and that when you say that, people kind of turn their nose up. And I'm here to defend chain restaurants and show you the beauty of it. But also be honest and let you know that not every chain restaurant is created equal. And that's something I've discovered on my journey. A journey we kind of took together.
Oh, yeah.
When we were early on in our friendship. And
oh my gosh.
You were writing for this wonderful blog that unfortunately no longer exists. There was some R&D done for some articles that you wrote on chain restaurants, the hierarchy, but also some other experiences that you've had there.
Totally. I mean, to kind of not circle back, but backtrack a bit, I think it's interesting because and I would love to hear about your sort of first taste, if you will, of chain restaurants. But, growing up, when my dad and my mom got married and were dating and did the whole blended family thing, I feel like McDonald's was a huge part of our life. Just like a staple, like on their wedding day, we had McDonald's. Like that's the only meal I can remember having. Shout out to Mickey D's. But I think they're so like becoming friends with you and sort of learning about this whole world and almost this hierarchy, like was so cool and interesting and just I get it. Like there's something really comforting and reliable and just knowing what you're going to get, not just with the experience and the food, but I think like hopefully most of the time with like the customer service and like the sort of bedside manner of those that are there. What was your sort of what's your relationship been like with chain restaurants? Like when were you first introduced to them?
We're tight. We're wicked close. We hang out a lot. We enjoy each other's company. I appreciate them. I am going to say my introduction, my first positive memory with chain restaurants was in the late 90s.
Mhm.
My dad was seeing a new woman who became my stepmom, and she had kids. And so, as a way to get together and meet and kind of work on blending the family, every weekend, every Friday, we'd go to TGI Fridays. And I remember being excited about that. It was something to look forward to. It was kind of a fun restaurant for, youthful people, a lot going on, a lot to look at on the walls. Good comfort food that you can like rely on for a kid. And I was a very, very picky eater. I think that also kind of plays into why I love chain restaurants so much. You touched upon that, the comfort and the reliability of that. So, yeah, I was brought there by my dad, and that was really awesome. There's also this cool chain restaurant that we would go to for people's birthdays every year in the family. I don't know if they were big, but there was something called uh, Moose. Oh no, this is gonna kill me. It was like a moose themed, like all American restaurant, and when they sing you the birthday song, they bring out this giant fur like stuffed animal moose head that you kiss the moose for your birthday. And I remember doing that, and then other people being like, "That's so gross." I'd put my hands on it and kiss it. What was that called? And it shut down, it's closed, but that was also like a cool like chain restaurant tradition that we did as kids that I remember looking forward to. Like a meal out, it's fun, it meant something special, and I appreciate that.
Totally. I think it's interesting and just realizing this now that like we both had this sort of blended family element to our chain restaurant experiences
Oh yeah,
as a
that's true.
place to meet. I mean, there was a place, and I don't even know if there were more than one, but it had the vibe of a chain restaurant. It was very like sports bar, and it was in Mission Valley. And I would go with my stepmom and siblings and my dad. It was called Trophies, and it was in like
Oh, I've heard of
Hazard
that.
Center. And I don't think it's there anymore, but I remember just going. It was like a special like night out thing, and we would get
Yeah.
like dinosaur shaped chicken nuggets, and we would have like you
Ooh.
could color on the table
Oh
or on
yeah.
the placemats, and it was so fun. Um, not
Love
really
that.
sure. I think there are, these kind of niche things that are more like regional or local kind of chains, but yeah, there's something about it. It's like, especially as a kid and as an adult, especially if you're traveling, like you know what you're gonna get.
I would just like to add an update. The name of the restaurant I was talking about in Maine, where they have a moose that you kiss for your birthday, it was called Bugaboo Creek. And I loved it. And it was
Wow.
like all wooden and like moose and lodge themed. And sometimes there'd be a wait, trying to get into Bugaboo Creek, but it closed sadly. So I just wanted to update
That
the
okay, I
squad.
need
If
to
you're
look
listening
that
in
up.
Maine and you remember Bugaboo Creek, shout out, pound, fist pound, woo woo.
Well, speaking of weights, like I didn't know. I mean, maybe 3 weeks ago, I went to the mall with my sister in San Diego, and we tried to get dinner
Which
in the
mall?
mall, Fashion Valley. So
Ooh, the
first,
most fancy.
the fanciest, and so we were like, oh, we'll get like Italian food, but then we're like, well, there's a wait. Let's go to Cheesecake Factory. I'm sure there's not a wait. There was an hour-long wait.
Oh my goodness. That one is always popping.
It's so
It's
poppin', and
ridiculous.
it's just really wild. But it's good to see that it's still thriving even in this funny like sort of in between pandemic state when things are opening back up. Um, you
Where'd you
know,
end up going?
We ended up going to number 127 on the top 500 chains, True Food.
Which
And
we've been there before together too.
we have. And, I would say, as someone who's about to turn 32 in a few weeks, like, I don't know that I would go to True Food after having island tiki drinks. Like, I just don't know if that's like the best journey. You know what I mean? Like, having a couple Mai Tais and then having a kale salad. I'm going to say, like, not for me, not for most people. I would encourage bread. I would encourage carbs and nothing on True Food, but just like choices were made, and I can see why it remains, number 127 on the list.
Yeah, so that's a list best 500 top chain restaurants. 127 hits and sits pretty low, and I agree. I remember sitting there and not really understanding the concept of the food, and I don't know if it was you or another friend who I went there with first. I think it might have been a work coworker, and them explaining to me that like nothing there was fried, and I was like looking for the fries, and like, and it's like,
right?
no, nothing here is fried. I was like, oh,
I know, it's disappointing.
I need more veggies. I love veggies, but I need like a lot of them to feel really, really, really full.
Right? And like, love that whole like, this is a bowl of earth journey, but I don't know, like,
Love that baby back, baby back, baby back ribs as well.
okay, speaking of, let's get into it. Like, let's talk about chain restaurants. What do you think is sort of the hierarchy, and what does that even look like for a chain restaurant?
Okay, so it's like to me, typically a hierarchy is like, the best are on top and they're kind of at a different level than others. There's a middle range where it's like, yeah, this is alright, it's alright. And then there's a lower range where it's like, ooh, this is not so great. This is kind of a desperate move. I've done it, I've made it. So it's opinion, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody has their own hierarchy of what they think is top shelf chain restaurant. So kind of a quick example, and maybe we can build off this and brainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
So top tier, also kind of have the top price range too. I would say for me, like Cheesecake Factory, Olive Garden, and PF Chang's. Those are kind of top tier for me for ambiance, for menu size, for pricing. There's also always a long wait. Middle of the market, I would say Chili's. I love Chili's though. For me, that's like number one, really high up there. But just price range and
Scene
like
and vibe.
and vibe. It's tough for me to put Applebee's on there. They've really disappointed me in the years, but like maybe like TJF Fridays is also there.
What about Red Lobster and Sizzler?
Sizzler is iconic, but it feels second tier to me. Outback Steakhouse. It's steak, right? But it still feels more of like a Chili's than like a fine dining chain restaurant where you're spending, $16 on orange chicken or something. And then bottom of the rung, and there's kind of that separation of chain restaurants that are fast food. So like for me, McDonald's is really high. They have a lot of quality control on the products around the world, and I really rely on that for comfort. And but like not everyone feels that same way about Burger King. That's probably a lower level. And Jack in the Box, God bless you, your low prices and stuff, but like your burgers and your quality control is just not that high. And it's it's way cheaper. That's what you get. But I feel like that's kind of on the lower tier.
Except for the curly fries.
Curly fries are good, and the tacos too for $1.30. They've raised the price like 30 cents extra. So I'm thinking, like, what do you think? Like, based on the examples that I just gave, like for top tier, second tier, and like low tier, like we got Taco Bell, we got Wendy's, we got Subway, we got Round Table. Like, where do you think deserves top tier, low tier?
Yeah, I mean, so my exposure has been more late in life, but I grew up going to kind of more like local fast food Mexican restaurants, like ones that would be like I don't know, like the like Santana's or like Roberto's or
Yeah.
things that were like that. So they were more, I guess, they were just as greasy and delicious, but I guess maybe more like, I don't know if authentic is the right word, but we grew up like
Yeah.
getting like our little taquitos and greasy quesadillas in like styrofoam containers, and the place would be open till like 2 or 3 in the morning, and it was great.
Oh, San Diego.
I know, and I didn't realize that's not a thing everywhere.
Oh my
So
God, no.
I
I
know,
mean,
so I feel grateful for that experience. But the first Taco Bell I went to was when I was maybe 10 years old, and I was just like, huh. But now as an adult, like in different instances, like I can appreciate it because especially if you're in a place where like there are no options.
I love Taco
Um,
Bell.
I think, yeah, it's like it can be a great thing. I would say for me, my top tier, like number one, is PF Chang's. I just love the scene and vibe. I love the chicken lettuce wraps.
Me too.
Love,
That's why I go there.
right? Love those sculptures
Oh,
outside.
love
Okay.
those guys. Those horses.
Yes, with the warriors, I think, on them.
Yeah. They've got a
Um,
cool ceiling.
yeah, it's really great in there. Yeah, those chicken lettuce wraps.
Good
And I would
iced
say
tea.
good iced tea. I would say Cheesecake Factory is up there too. The only thing with Cheesecake Factory is I get really overwhelmed by the menu because it's like it feels like a Bible. Like it's
Oh,
just
it
so
is
long and it has ads in it, which is, you know,
wild.
you have to place ads in your own menu, which is crazy, but I love that.
Yeah. I recently read something online that like I wish I didn't, but like I get it. Like I read that like chain restaurants, like the larger the menu, like the more likely it's less fresh and it's all frozen. And I instantly thought of Cheesecake Factory and I was like, man,
I know, which is crazy because yeah, as we mentioned, like there are waits at these places.
oh
Uh,
yeah, that's also a reason to like kind of I'm a little overwhelmed to approach because it's always so intense.
hmm I remember when you and I went to Red Lobster.
We had to take
Wow.
a picture in front of the lobster tank.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember anything we ate except for the cheddar bay biscuits.
I don't eat seafood, so I had their turf, whatever that would have been, burger, steak, I don't know, but I don't like seafood, so I never had any lobster stuff.
Yeah,
Um, which
I
is kind
know.
of weird being from Maine, but
Well, no, I get it. It can be, well, especially because the location we went to was like 20 minutes inland from the ocean. So I think there's also something to be said about like location.
well, they always say like fresh Maine lobster. It's like, nah, that was frozen, put on a truck, and was like put in your warehouse 2 weeks ago. Like fresh Maine lobster really only exists in like Maine and New Hampshire.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, I
But I
don't know.
love it. It makes me feel cool and like seen and like, hey, there's people there. That's me. I'm a Mainer. Woo, fresh
Right?
Maine
Yeah.
lobster.
When we went, it was popping. There was a wait.
And on their gift card is the photo of a lighthouse that my dad lives by. It's the most photographed lighthouse in America. So, a lot of respect for that. I do feel like, so you're saying that's kind of like top tier or
Oh, I would just say I don't know if it's top tier. I feel like it's maybe middle tier or
like
something.
with Chili's?
Yeah, and
Chili's
Chile
and Outback hanging out and just,
and yeah, I've been to Chili's. I haven't been to Sizzler.
I don't remember being the Sizzler ever. Um, And I didn't discover Chili's till college. Like there was a Chili's by the mall in Maine and I never went. We were always going to like Fridays, Olive Garden, Bugaboo. And yeah, I had a person on my hall in college who worked at Chili's, so we would go and visit and I was like, whoa, 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 what? This is so yummy. I love this. I love that. Chocolate molten cake, your chips and salsa. Oh my
Right?
God.
Yeah,
So
they have
now I
chips
just
and
love it.
salsa.
So
It's
I was late
great.
in life to that one, but it just goes to show you to try new things.
Totally. I was late in life to Chili's as well. And I actually, as you know, went on a very niche, infamous Chili's date with someone who I met on OkCupid at the time. And he was like, his sort of like, claim to fame was that he had a Chili's gift card from his grandma or aunt or something, and he was like, you have to prove to me that you like want to go. And I was like, I've never been to Chili's. Also, I think we have mutual friends or acquaintances or whatever. So, anyways, we went to Chili's, and yeah, it was great. It was super fun, and we were the last people there. I didn't realize it would like the
Closing
night
down Chili's.
we were closing down Chili's. It was truly an affair to remember with your baby back ribs. No, I don't know that we had ribs. I actually think we did. We did probably, but we took a picture to remember it. And yeah, Chili's is great. I mean, would love to go back at some point.
So I feel like I get a lot of judgment from people in life for liking chain restaurants. I remember someone for the first time ever called me like normal, and I've always been called weird and stuff, but they thought I was normal because I ate at chain restaurants. But there's also like a lot of negative judgment, I think, around chain restaurants that I've kind of built this mindset that like people who really love me go to Chili's with me and they don't make
Totally.
me feel bad about it and they do it happily. And you know what I mean? Like there are some people who really roll their eyes or look down on you, and it's like people who really love me take me to Chili's. And I wrote that on Twitter, and Chili's liked the tweet. Just saying, just saying.
That's huge. No, I'm down. I mean, I think too, like, yeah, as someone who a couple years ago, I went to France for the first time and was told that, like, oh, the only thing open on like Christmas is McDonald's. So we'll end up going there. And I was like, very like, whatever, like, we're not going to McDonald's. And then did go to McDonald's and it was great. And then I went back again, a week later when I was in like another part of France because it was like kind of a rough night, some like drama. And I was like, this is the most reliable thing. And I feel most at home here. So I know what I'm going to get.
Royale with cheese.
Yes. And it's going to be great. And, I'm going to have like a sad dinner, but it's going to be good. I know it feels like home in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like that's something that I feel like gets us so much hate. Like there's people who think they're better than you because they haven't eaten McDonald's in 20 years. And like that's fine, that's your choice. But when you're kind of projecting that as if you're better than me for that, like, oh my God, you eat that? I would never eat that. It's like, cool. Like it is probably not healthy for us, right? There's processed food and yet like you said growing up like McDonald's is a big part of our culture and a big part of like what Americans can afford, what
Totally.
creates happiness. I still have some toys that I collected, limited edition Simpsons watches from Burger King in the 90s. I digress. There's cool toys for kids, and now they're trying to come up with healthier options, but it's okay to have that guilty pleasure, that comfort. And I did a semester in France, and the Royale with cheese saved my life when I needed stability, when
Yeah.
anxiety got me, and I was like, I need something that I know makes me feel good.
Right. I think that it can be in moments, whether it's a happy moment or like anxious or sad. Like when I first moved back to the Bay, like 5 years ago, it was my birthday. And I feel like I was remaking friends. No one was around. And so I just decided to like drive like 20 minutes east and go to a McDonald's and get a McFlurry and then go to the mall by myself. And I was like, this is a great day. Like, this is what I'm doing. And I don't really care.
I've done the same thing on my birthday, except it was like Jack in the Box and the Walmart parking lot, but
Yeah.
very close. I also have been to the mall on my birthday by myself and treat myself to stuff like that. And that is, I think, beautiful and awesome in the form of self-care,
Yeah.
being healthy too. But like, I think it's healthy to not restrict yourself. If you
Yeah.
like the way it tastes, if you like it and it's going to be a special moment for you to go out and get it, that's
And I think
awesome.
the judgment and like class, like, oh, like whatever, like that's
You're
just
not a
like,
foodie.
okay,
Okay.
cool. Like I love all the like I love cooking. I love all the cool foods, whatever. But like, no, we need to retire that stigma because I'm done with it. It's the year 2021, and yeah, we're done. We're not doing that anymore. We don't
I
have time
made
for
my
it.
own tabbouleh yesterday for
Yeah,
dinner. And I'm just like, I used to be so selective with my eating, and having the excitement to try new things is awesome. And I love to cook. And like you said, at the same time, it doesn't take away the happiness and the comfort and joy that different chain restaurants bring us, whether we're here in San Diego or in the Bay or in France, where they have these, I also went to Subway. Yeah, people hate on that. Yeah, I went to Subway. Okay.
Oh my God, I
Like,
got so many Subways. Yeah, we ate a lot of Subway growing up too. It was like a huge part of our lives.
yeah. So,
Um, well, to sort of reflect on like what are your favorite chain restaurants, even ones that may be sort of going extinct or may not exist anymore.
yeah, I like that question because I really wanted to reflect on like which ones did I like that don't exist anymore? And I definitely know one that's on the way out, but I haven't come up with one that doesn't exist anymore. Um, so top three for me, the big OG, when you're here, your family, Olive Garden, Chili's, the home of the best chips and salsa and chocolate molten lava cake.
Yeah.
Um, three, my fancy Chinese food from PF Chang's. What? Bear, bear, bear.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
number four, the one that I love so much that's in its own category, that's why it's number four, but it's really just kind of like its own planet, is the Rainforest Cafe.
Uh,
I cannot tell you how much I love that place. It is a dying breed. I have traveled out of my way to go to it, and I went to it to my birthday last year. So that is an amazing experience to have. Uh, so those are my top. Those are my
it's
top
so
four.
fun. They have like the animatronic animal friends.
And I went there. They have not changed a thing since the 90s, since I was like 11 going there. Like the spray paint, like jungle and the monkey and like the technology and like everything is literally the tablecloth. It's the same from 98. And I'm just like, oh, wow.
Oh my
I
God.
want the jungle jambalaya. Oh, there's a thunderstorm. Yay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in my 30s. What's up? No, I
Oh
don't
my
have
God.
kids. What's up? I like a good theme.
Right? There's
So
something magical about
So
that.
like chain restaurants, like a good theme, like Olive Garden, very Italian, Texas Roadhouse, like themes. I like it.
Yeah, I love the theme. I think for me, I mean, a current one would definitely be obviously PF Chang's. And I think in terms of like dying breeds or ones that no longer, I don't think exist, at least that I know of, um, would be Planet Hollywood.
Oh, oh my gosh. That was
Classic,
so hot in like '02. Like
right?
I cannot tell you how much I would beg my family to go there when we were in New York City. Like and I've been
So
there. It's
cool.
incredible.
It's so cool. There used to be one in Horton Plaza in San Diego that's no longer
Really?
there. Yeah, like
Dude, that thing died out, huh? That's
I
so
know.
cool.
It was great. And just like all the like movie star like
The
cutouts.
costumes
Yes, and
like
the
they would have in the
costumes.
and there's like the lighting and the music and um yeah, I felt like it was kind of a little bit more glamorous because it had like movie stars and stuff than like, but I also really like hard rock, which was kind of like
Oh
that,
yeah,
but the
like but
rock and
music.
roll.
Yeah,
And they had cool like leather jackets from this music video. So those restaurants really seemed similar to me, and I loved both of them.
right? I think they were very like American culture, but like pop culture-y. I
I'd
think,
still go to them today. Like if
right?
that existed, I'd be there.
I would love that. I think from what I remember, the food was just like American, like diner food, like burgers and stuff.
Very overpriced American diner food.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually,
Hmm.
I think they have one in Vegas still.
Oh, okay. Need to go.
And I love that. And I know that that was not always like an automatic. That was kind of like a big deal. Like when you're on vacation and stuff, my parents did treat us to that, but it was like
it
big
was a
deal.
cool thing.
Especially Planet Hollywood. They were more into, I think, the Hard Rock, and they would go there like when they would travel together around the world and buy T-shirts there, and kind of like that. The little collection of Hard Rock shirts, kind of neat.
Right? It's cool. I think, I don't know. I remember, I don't know, like 8 years ago or so being in San Diego and going to, there were like free shows at the Hard Rock Cafe and
Oh,
the
I
Gas
went I went to one of those.
Lamp.
Yeah. I
Oh
had a
my
friend who was playing. I totally went to one of those. I was surprised too that it was like a venue, but there was like kind of a closed down bar and they were playing on the other side.
Yeah, it's wild. It's super fun. I think um to transition to like thinking about chain restaurants in a different way. And this kind of I like posing this question because it reminds me of our conversation on Disney and Disney princesses and sort of imagining, a visual brainstorm, if you will. If you could work in any chain restaurant, living or dead, like the restaurant, not you, which would it be? Which restaurant would it be? And like, why?
Whoa, I'm kind of blown away. And I knew about this question ahead of time, so I should have prepared this.
Lots to think on.
You would say, "Oh, Rainforest Cafe," but it's like that thunderstorm every 20 minutes. I might kind of be
Mhm.
overstimulated with that.
It's a lot.
Uh, Olive Garden, I feel like could have a lot going on behind the scenes. That could be not something I want to be involved in. Chili's, I feel like could have a lot of families that are hard to deal with
Hmm.
as a person to work there.
What about TGI Fridays?
Well, I think that's funny because it makes me think of that movie Office Space where Jennifer
Yes.
Aniston needs more flair. And I kind of don't want to work in that environment. I think I'd rather work, if we're being practical and I'm trying to make a living, I think something more upscale like PF Chang's and maybe, just a little bit of a different vibe, a little bit more mellow, a little bit more quiet, and
Hmm.
maybe higher bills, therefore higher tips.
Hmm. I agree.
Plus, we could get lettuce wraps on the side for our like shift meal.
Yeah, I know. It's like the right blend of like legit good food, more chill, classy vibes, but there is actually food and meat, like as opposed to true food. We're just gonna, no offense, getting a kale salad, which is fine. Um,
Is
but
it
it does,
though? Is it
well,
enough to fill you
no,
up? We
no,
got to
it's,
go to the bread store after that, maybe.
yeah, let's open a restaurant called the Bread Store, aka Olive Garden.
I want to open one called Happy Carbs.
Yes, love. I love that. Yeah, I think I agree with you on your answer. Like, while Cheesecake Factory is more top tier, it's so overwhelming, and it would be a nightmare to try to memorize that menu.
Navigate all those tables.
It would be really bad. I
So
think,
are we going to work together at PF Chang's?
yeah, like I just
That's
started,
awesome.
so would love if you could like give me any tips, like front of house, back of
Well,
house.
are you a hostess or are you a waitress? Because I've been in hosting for about 2 months and I'm still trying to work up to waitressing.
Yeah, so I am a hostess slash like busser. But yeah, it's been good. Like it's
It's been.
cool. Yeah, it's been 1 week since you got me those chicken lettuce wraps.
So I've worked in a restaurant washing dishes. It was not a chain restaurant though. It was a very high-end seafood restaurant. I worked there, but shout out to people who work in restaurants because people suck and they treat people like shit. And I hope they get tipped well. I was never able to break
Seriously.
into that industry, but heard it can be very fruitful, and I wish the best for them. And I wish people would be nicer.
I know. I feel like everyone, having been a hostess at two different places and having been locked in the freezer at Cold Stone, I just think that it's really important that everyone have some sort of like restaurant hospitality experience because yeah, people say weird stuff to you.
Retail.
Retail, one time this older gentleman just was the only one in this restaurant, this Italian restaurant that wasn't a chain, and I was a hostess, and he just wanted to like, he told me he liked the way that I cleaned the windows, which was like, ew. Yeah,
No.
yeah. So we're
You don't
dealing with
like
it.
the way I do nothing because your eyes are not going to look at me again, bro. Turn around.
Right? I know. It's like
Ew.
very
But
gross.
when you're at work and you're young, you don't know and you just feel weird and like
Yeah, and this was,
uncomfortable.
and I knew, and I was just like, okay, let me shift my body to the side so at least he's not looking at my butt, I guess. But it was awkward, and it was also pre-Me Too, everything with that. Um, yeah, this is when I was like 21, so 10 years ago. Anyways, wild times. Um, if you could leave some parting notes on chain restaurants to our listeners, what would they be?
You know, potatoes are gonna potate and haters are gonna hate. I would rather you join me at Sizzlers or Angus Steakhouse to be a potato that potates than be a hater. Because, like, if you're looking down on a chain restaurant because you're a foodie, just kind of take a quick beat and think about people who maybe, one can't afford the kind of restaurants that you eat at, and how chain restaurants make an experience out possible for a lot of people. And think about people who maybe have different eating habits than you, and how sometimes stability and comfort and reliability from these restaurants can be a good thing too. I don't want to, I just would invite people to be more open-minded if that's not your stance. And if it is your stance, then that's awesome. I will see you at Chili's for the $5 margaritas.
Yeah, they have margaritas, which is just like mind-blowing. Didn't know that.
Oh my God, they're famous for their $5 margs.
It's amazing. Yeah, I agree. I think that like we can get so caught up, especially as we're sort of re-entering society on this date in June, whatever that looks like, and going back into the world. Like, I think, we used to take a lot of things for granted, but when you're out in the world or going through a hard time or a good time, just, yeah, keep an open mind and reconsider the like Olive Garden on your road trip, or the Chili's, or the McDonald's, like whatever you need. I don't know. Sometimes you can really pigeonhole yourself when you just think like, oh, like I'm a foodie, blah, blah, blah. But like, okay, foodies also, if you're a true foodie, not the restaurant, then you'll embrace like all the things and at least try them. You never know. It could be really surprising. So just saying.
Yeah.
Don't knock it, babies.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff out there. So just give it a shot. And even if you don't want to, like, just let other people, leave them alone without having to be, negative about anything. You can just let people do what they do. And if it's not for you, that's fine. It's, I think, part of American culture, and it can be really great to have and celebrate. And I kind of want to go to Chili's right now.
Right? Don't be a hater.
Like, my dad's coming into town, and it's like, I want to show like the local culture and this and that, but I also want to just like go to Olive Garden with him and or Chili's. Like, I don't know. So
totally, you can do both.
Exactly.
Well, this was so lovely. Yeah, thank you all for listening in on our discussion on chain restaurants and all their shapes and forms. We are so excited to be entering our teenage number of eps with you.
Yeah, and we're growing.
We growing. So
I'm going to apply for our learner's permit in probably like one episode. We'll probably be ready to start driving as a podcast.
Right? We're like in 7th or 8th grade right now.
Beep, beep. Getting ready, getting excited.
Getting very excited to get checked for scoliosis as a 7th grader.
Dude, I have scoliosis, and they noticed that in 7th grade. And like,
it's like the years that they check. I feel like,
yeah,
it's a hard age, but you know what? We're fully embracing. We're fully embracing it.
Yes.
Well, so lovely to see you. So lovely to share our chain restaurant wisdom and thoughts with all of our listeners. And
shout out to Olive Garden breadsticks. What?
Whoop, whoop.
We'll see you next episode.
See you in the cabinets.
Bye.